on 60 Minutes.
What has that tiny little device done to your life?
Destroyed it.
Help that harms.
So it overdosed you?
Yeah.
The broken approval system that means medical devices
You probably get more information when you're going to buy a vacuum cleaner.
are not being adequately tested.
There is a lot going wrong with these devices that the public doesn't know about.
That's next on 60 Minutes.
There's no question medical devices implanted or attached to the body, things like pacemakers, pain relief pumps or glucose monitors, are a significant advance in medicine. When they work as their manufacturers claim they should, they improve, even save lives. But as we reveal in this joint investigation with The Age and the Sydney Morning Herald, when the devices don't work, the exact opposite is true. Remarkably, every year there are 150,000 incidences where Australians require treatment, when medical devices that are meant to help cause harm instead. So why is that number so high? Well, it seems the Therapeutic Goods Administration, the watchdog we rely on to keep us safe, is simply not up to the job of adequately testing the thousands of devices it approves for use in Australia every year.
Move your legs, ready?
Yep.
1, 2, 3. Nice, that's it. Nicely done.
Vicky Kelly would prefer nobody saw her like this.
Ready? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Nicely done. Sit down, you can have a seat.
Struggling to push her body to do something so simple.
Yep.
The 69-year-old doting grandmother is living an agonising new reality.
Alright, chairs up. Lovely.
For the last year and a half, Vicky's been paralysed from the waist down. Her life changed in an instant by a medical device implanted in her spine to help treat her chronic back pain. What has that tiny little device done to your life?
Destroyed it. I'm not the same person I was. And if I'd known that this could happen to me, I wouldn't have had this implanted.
Like Vicky, Ty Cummins is a victim of a faulty medical device that was supposed to help him, but didn't. A diabetic his whole life, he almost died 3 years ago when a newly installed insulin pump went haywire, causing an overdose in the middle of the night.
Which was probably the scariest moment I've had with my diabetes. These devices aren't all they're cracked up to be. They are very convenient and good, but when they're not, they can be deadly.
There's no denying medical devices can and do change lives for the better. But the fact is, every year there are 150,000 incidences where Australians need hospital help due to the complications they cause. Whether it's a pacemaker, an implanted pain pump or glucose monitor, tonight we reveal a healthcare scandal that questions the trust we have in the government regulator, the Therapeutic Goods Administration. It's meant to protect us from dangerous medical devices and do something when things go wrong. But as you'll see, the system is failing miserably.
I worry that with the way we try and regulate, we're waiting for something to go wrong before we make a change. I don't think it's fair on consumers and patients.
Things are clearly bad when a public servant, forbidden from speaking to the media, is so damning of his own organisation, he's willing to defy the rules. To protect his identity, we've recreated his interview using an actor. But these are his words. He says when it comes to the use of medical devices for Australian patients, the Therapeutic Goods Administration is floundering.
The decisions being made around medical devices are not evidence-based. They're budget efficient. We've taken down too many of the guardrails. It's going too far.
There can be no better example of the criticisms the TGA insider is making than the case of Vicky Kelly.
I've been told it's 1 in a million chance this can happen to you. But I don't believe that. Not for a minute.
Why not?
Because if it can happen to me, it can happen to anybody.
Having worked hard her whole life, Vicky wanted nothing more than a comfortable retirement.
I wanted to go on a cruise. I'm supposed to be enjoying my life with my grandkids, and I'm not. I haven't been able to babysit my grandkids for over 18 months.
She's now a patient and resident at the Victorian Rehabilitation Centre in Melbourne. Vicky's problems began when she had an accident at work, suffering a back injury. It was originally treated with painkillers, but in 2007, she had a small pain pump called the Synchromed 2 implanted. It worked well for a number of years, but in December 2024, everything changed.
I just couldn't go to the toilet. And I had no other side effects. This was beeping on and off, on and off. I went into the hospital and the nurse put a catheter in me. They emptied the bladder and I just couldn't get up off the bed.
What do you mean?
I just turned around and said, I can't move. I said, I can't move my legs. I couldn't move anything from the waist down. Nothing. It was dead as a doornail.
That moment of realisation, Vicky.
It's horrific. I was petrified. And that's being honest. I was petrified.
Doctors believe Vicky's pain pump caused a blood clot that led to a spinal cord stroke. The outcome was catastrophic. Will you walk again?
They say I won't.
It's a devastating prognosis made even harder to accept by what Vicky now knows about the Synchromed 2. In the last 15 years, the device she relied on has been linked to the deaths of 5 Australians. 27 others have been harmed. So you can imagine her shock when she also found out the device was never independently tested by the TGA before being released in Australia. Vicky, if you knew any of this information,
I wouldn't have had it in. This is the first time I've heard that it's never been tested here. I thought it had been. I just believed everybody that they'd work.
I think people think that if the TGA has approved a device, it means it's going to be safe for everyone under all circumstances.
Dr. Wendy Benithan is an associate professor and health law expert at Bond University. She says, incredibly, the TGA only tests a tiny fraction of the thousands of medical devices approved in Australia every year. Instead, more than 85% of devices approved here are based on European certification, which is awarded not by a regulator, but by dozens of for-profit organisations known as notified bodies.
So if a product has been certified within the EU as acceptable for EU market, then the TGA will generally recognise that certification, and after conducting probably some less in-depth reviews of that certification and evidence, they will accept that certification and grant that product access to the Australian market as well.
But the problem is, the notified bodies are happy to rely on the undertakings from the manufacturers themselves that their products are safe and effective. It's a lot of trust, though, in a company that stands to make a lot of money.
Yes, there's a huge commercial driver for companies that are involved in development of devices. And where it does become a problem is when you've got sponsors or manufacturers who are maybe not so forthcoming with the details about what's happened, or perhaps downplay some of the adverse events associated with particular devices in trials.
In the European system, it's a case of race to the bottom. It's structurally and completely different to our regulating system.
The TGA insider says this is a massive flaw in the Australian system, that the regulator is more interested in serving a commercial industry over its obligations to patient safety.
Some of these pathways, where they're getting to Australia, no one has actually looked at the safety quality evidence.
Again, Vicky Kelly is the tragic example of a lack of quality control. The TGA okayed the use of her pain pump based on the European approval of the device. So we asked Medtronic, the manufacturer, to prove it was safe and effective for chronic back pain. Would you call this meaningful evidence?
No, it's not sufficient evidence to make a decision if you're a regulator, sufficient evidence to make a decision if you're a clinician, and also not sufficient evidence for a patient to make an informed decision about whether they're going to go down the pathway of having one of these devices.
Professor Chris Marr is not only a back pain expert at the University of Sydney, he's a globally recognised researcher and scientist. We asked him to review what Medtronic had sent us. He wasn't impressed.
You probably get more information when you're going to buy a vacuum cleaner than you're getting here about something pretty important. So putting a device inside your body that's got a drug in it and it's difficult to remove. And so it's a bit disconcerting that the level of evidence you've got for people to make an important decision about healthcare is so low.
If you could ask the TGA one question now, Vicky, what would it be?
Why weren't these machines actually tested by you personally? Because they can kill people. I thought the TGA here was more stricter than anywhere else. It is their job. Relying on other people and their reports isn't enough.
Chris, how can that be acceptable?
It's not acceptable. And you know, you've got this look saying, you know, how can that be acceptable? I agree with you. The reason it's not acceptable is because we need to value patients, and patients need to be treated carefully.
Would you feel confident approving these devices for use in Australia based on the evidence you talk about?
Well, it's not my job, but no.
Coming up, the scale of the scandal revealed in the TGA's own database of injury and death.
We got 80,000 reports of patients who had been injured by these medical devices.
Wow. In November 2023, there was a terrible tragedy in the Victorian town of Daylesford. 5 people, including 2 children, were killed after a car ploughed into the beer garden of the local pub.
Any memory of that manual checking of your monitor?
The driver, type 1 diabetic William Swale, was wearing a continuous glucose monitor when he lost control of his car. Records later showed there were 10 alerts from his glucose monitor warning him his blood sugar levels were dropping. But he says he never heard them because when he plugged the monitor into his car, the Bluetooth system muted the medical device. 2.5 years on, a coroner is now investigating whether a malfunction with the device played a part in the accident.
I always carry something in the car with me now, and I've always checked my sugars before getting on the road.
Oh, let's go, guys. Get the chatter up.
If anyone knows what can happen when a diabetes device doesn't work as it should, it's Ty Cummins. A diabetic since he was 16. Staying fit and healthy and managing his blood sugar levels has always been important to Ty. Do you find that it's constantly on your mind?
Absolutely, absolutely. From the moment I wake up until I go to bed, it's a balancing act. But I'm not against these products, don't get me wrong, because they are very convenient and they do help out immensely. But yeah, there's just got to be something else done to make sure that they are working effectively as they advertise them.
Getting that balance right can be the difference between life and death. Ty used to manually inject himself with insulin. But 3 years ago, he signed up to be part of a clinical trial for an automatic insulin pump called the Omnipod. Just weeks in though, it malfunctioned, overdosing Ty and causing his blood sugar to drop to a life-threatening level.
It's a terrifying experience when your blood sugars go that low and I couldn't move. Your brain goes into survival mode. So I had no control of my limbs or speech or anything like that, and there was nothing I could do. And it's lucky Trace was there, because if she wasn't, I don't know whether I'd be here today.
It was an equally frightening experience for Ty's wife, Tracy, who woke up to find him almost comatose.
He was just making like a gargling sound. His arms were just in a different state. It was almost like he either had a fit or a stroke or something. I'm like, oh my God.
What did you think was going to happen that night?
Yeah. It wasn't until after he went and they said, it was like your body was shutting down, that you're in survival mode, that it actually hit me.
So you could have died?
Yeah.
The pump Ty was trialling had just been approved by Australia's health regulator, the Therapeutic Goods Administration. In America, it's been linked to hundreds of deaths. Here, there have been more than 700 adverse events since the beginning of last year alone.
How many people have to die or be left in hospital before there's an outcome that they actually go, let's have a look at these companies and these devices that are coming into the country?
It's a good question for the TGA. The government body has set up a database to allow the public access to adverse event reports. But as The Age investigative journalist Liam Mannix discovered, getting clear information from it is near impossible.
This is the crucial database that patients can use to work out how many problems people are reporting about their medical devices, how often their pacemakers are failing, how often their continuous glucose monitors are inaccurate. This is that crucial database.
How would you rate this?
I think this is terrible. I think that this might be one of the most important and most secretive databases in Australia. And so for this investigation, we really wanted to crack it open.
To try to make sense of the information in the database, Liam used artificial intelligence to collate the TGA data and analyse the true scale of harm caused by medical devices. What the AI search revealed was staggering.
We got 80,000 reports of patients who had been injured by these medical devices.
Wow.
And some of these injuries were harrowing. And I looked at this and thought, there is a lot here going wrong with these devices that the public doesn't know about simply because of the design of this database.
Liam's research has also shown that since the beginning of 2020, the TGA has been aware of 679 deaths linked to medical devices and 30,388 injuries. Which devices did you find caused the most harm?
Surprisingly, it's diabetes management devices, continuous glucose monitors and automated insulin pumps. They made up 5 of the top 10 devices with the most injuries and deaths reported.
After his near-death experience with an insulin pump, Ty Cummins went back to injecting himself. He still relies on a continuous glucose monitor to measure his blood sugar levels, but says it too is often temperamental.
Brief sensor issue. So what's happened there?
It's just not giving me a reading at all. And then it says, do not remove sensor, temporary issue, wait up to 3 hours.
I mean, you're supposed to be able to trust these things, aren't you?
Well, that's what they sell on us. Take the thought process out of it, take the worry out of it. But that doesn't give you a lot of confidence here, and that does it.
I think the Australian public should have confidence, should have very good, strong confidence in the TGA about the evaluation of these devices coming into the market. If you look at the whole picture, these devices are sound, they're safe, and they're beneficial.
Dr. Sof Andrikopoulos is the CEO of the Australian Diabetes Society. He says management devices have dramatically changed the lives of Australians living with the disease. And the ongoing work of diabetes experts here means there's no cause for alarm.
There's hundreds of clinical studies, there are hundreds of clinical trials with thousands of people that have been using these devices, and they are safe to use. If you look in totality, CGMs and insulin pumps are extremely useful and safe.
Most of the people working at the TGA understand that their role, protecting the health of Australians, is critically important. However, the insider we've spoken to admits he and his colleagues know the organisation is failing.
Are we functioning as regulators, or have we turned a blind eye to our responsibility in evaluating, assessing and monitoring therapeutic goods?
To protect the identity of this TGA employee, we've hired an actor to recreate his interview.
I don't think the public understands how medical devices are regulated. There's a number of factors driving this. Less people to do assessments, successful lobbying by industry groups, a lack of public visibility, political pressures and poor leadership. Many people have raised the alarm internally, and there doesn't appear to be much engagement from executive on the issues raised.
Do you think the Australian public can be confident in the TGA?
I think the TGA gets it right a lot more than it gets it wrong. The problem is that this is very much a high-stakes area. When it goes wrong, it tends to go catastrophically wrong.
Associate Professor Wendy Benaithon says the TGA not only has to be seen to be doing better, it must actually do better. Do you think that the TGA is meeting its duty of care to the public when things do go wrong?
I think the TGA could certainly be more responsive and more transparent with respect to concerns raised by the public about medical devices. I think that would do a lot to increase trust.
Hello, Vicky.
Hi, Dimity.
How are you?
Not too bad.
You look lovely. How are you
Thank you. Not too bad.
These days, Vicky Kelly's life should be spent running around after her grandchildren. Instead, much of her time is now a battle to try to learn to walk again. And all because the medical device she had implanted to treat back pain paralysed her. What she's endured is simply not fair. Her life will never be the same. But she's determined she won't ever give up. What would you give to get up and walk?
I would love, more than anything, to be able to stand up and take a step. And maybe I will get there. Maybe I won't, I don't know. But I won't stop trying.
We asked the Therapeutic Goods Administration if someone was available for an official interview, but were told no. We were told, however, that as regulator, the TGA's job is to ensure that the benefits of any medical device outweigh the risks, and that when assessing a new product, it relies on trusted, comparable overseas regulators to avoid unnecessary duplication of testing. It should also be noted that in 2023, the TGA introduced mandatory reporting of adverse events by healthcare facilities to better monitor when things go wrong. You can read the TGA's full statement on our website. Hello, I'm Dimity Clancey. Thanks for watching 60 Minutes Australia. Subscribe to our channel now for brand new stories and exclusive clips every week. And don't miss out on our extra minute segments and full episodes of 60 Minutes on 9now.com.au and the 9Now app.